this Now, in this sit-down conversation with a well-known podcaster, Jay Shetty, Madonna is opening up about practicing spirituality, specifically Kabbalah, for 29 years, since 1996 till to date. Her struggle with seeking revenge and, suicidal episodes, and also fighting a custody battle for her son. And I want us to actually listen to a short excerpt from that, and then we're going to react from there.
The time pushed you to that place of potentially wanting to take your own life?
I mean, I'm not in the blame game. That's the thing. I used to be that way. And I used to always want to seek revenge. If somebody did me wrong. Or I would pronounce loudly, oh, well, they'll get their own karma, well, whatever, you know what I mean? And even knowing about karma doesn't mean you're a grown-up. It doesn't mean you're not being a victim. But I would say probably one of the most painful moments in my life where I honestly couldn't see the forest for the trees was when I went through a custody battle with my son. And even though my marriage didn't work out, I mean, a lot of people's marriages don't work out. They marry the wrong people. They're not aligned. They're not meant for each other. Someone trying to take my child away from me was like, they might as well just kill me. That's really how I was thinking. And I was on tour at the time, so I had to go on stage every night. I would just be lying on the floor of my dressing room, sobbing. I really thought it was like the end of the world. I couldn't take it.
For me, it's the most controversial subject or topic of discussion is about mother spirituality.
I don't feel that way anymore.
She's deeply, delving into the specifics of, having some sort of like inner work practice that I believe is, very pertinent and very important, especially if you're on a journey to spirituality. But then it gets controversial when you bring in something like, God or now Jesus. But if you were to study what Kabbalah, the spiritual practice of Kabbalah, I know it's related to the Jewish, spiritual practice and what they do, especially when it comes to studying, ancient spiritual works, from symbolisms to texts and whatnot. And speaking of symbolisms, even Madonna herself, she's a master of executing symbolism, spiritual symbolism, mostly ancient symbolism in most of our performances, from videos, music videos, and even the award events where she the last time I think there was this one where I think she was reenacting, I don't know, channeling Mary and then Jesus and then the devil, and but I think that world of spirituality specifically that touches on Kabbalah, there's a lot of questions, and it's just mysterious the way they believe how God works and whatnot. But what caught my attention about that story is when she's opening up about, her custody battle with, her son, wanting to end her life and, wanting to seek revenge and, understanding the concept of karma and whatnot. It just shows that she is a human being. But outside that, a lot of people have had so many conspiracy theories around, Madonna. They said she's a witch. They've said she's a vampire. She's in the Illuminati. She's a Freemasonist and all those things. But in this sit down with Jay Shetty, she's vulnerable enough to actually pinpoint and honest enough, I believe, to say it's practicing Kabbalah that has kept her afloat, and just her ageless and and beauty, bruh. She looks like she's 25, 26. But this is a woman who I believe, Madonna, how old is Madonna? Is she in her early 60s or late 60s? Yeah. It's just incredible to see, man. And I love the way she not the way she did like a diva on stage, She looks so young, supple, and fresh. Oh my goodness. What song of Madonna do you love? I like the La Isla Bonita. La Isla Bonita, la 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 la. What other song of Madonna do you love? Yeah. Oh. But there's also controversy around, her adopting, African kids. And, I believe she has several, what are they called? Foster care homes in Africa and many other parts of the country. And she was big on charity. I trust she still does. But yeah, I think there's a lot from Madonna. If you watch, it's a 2-hour plus conversation on the Jay Shetty podcast. And shout out to the Jay Shetty podcast as well for that setup. Madonna doesn't do a lot of interviews, and it's interesting. Others call her an icon, others call her a legend, others just listen to her music. She's a human being, and good luck, all the best. What do you think of Kabbalah, the spirituality? Is this something you have practiced yourself? For Madonna, she says it's what has kept her afloat and not, falling to the things that happen outside, the body. And it helped her to focus on the spiritual side of life. And maybe that's where her beauty too comes from. But if you observe closely, she has a red charm on her wrist. What do you make of that? I'd like to hear from you.